Welcome to First Issues Weekly, the compilation of the weekly comic show First Issues Now. Every day you can check out the newest First Issues released this week on First Issues Now, or weekly in a batch on here. I'm A.J. Carey, the comic archivist, and these are the comics released for the week of August 13th, 2025. Yes, this week was a bit on the short side. I have to reshingle a roof and finish a fence. Now then, on with the show. Hello and welcome to First Issues Now, the weekly show posted daily-ish about only the newest first issues released by insert comic company here. This week I'll be looking at the comics released for the week of August 13th, 2025. Well, so far 2 out of the 3 hit hard and fast and I love them. So, as a wise prophet Meatloaf once said, that ain't bad. Plus, as a huge Cap fanboy, I may be more nitpicky about this hotsy-totsy Nazi in Bring On the Bad Guys, Red Skull #1, written by Stephanie Phillips, art by Tommaso Bianchi, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. The premise to this book is simple. Red Skull got the same deal for Mephisto that everyone else for these one-shots got. Kill a dude with a knife, you get your wish. Well, we begin with Red Skull stabbing a Nazi through the chest. Yay! However, it is a clone, and we all know clones have no soul, no matter what Spider-Man books keep trying to tell us. Suck it, Ben. Anyways, so Red Skull has to kill a lot of Nazi clones to get his way, and Mephisto says you'll be able to give Red Skull what he truly wants when Steve Raja gives him his soul. So the premise isn't really that deep, but as the comic likes to say, the devil is in the details. While Red Skull is slaughtering Nazis, it's actually a very sensible dialogue about the future of the Reich and Nazi Germany and who Red Skull is. Yes, it's also a bit awkward, but it doesn't shy away from Red Skull's own disenchantment with Hitler, since, Red Skull is the ultimate follower in that party's system of belief, and Hitler's a proven failure at this point in the war, and he is still a failure in the 21st century. It also shows the power of Red Skull not in strength, but in resolve, as him just talking convinces Kramer to let him stab him to complete the deal. Actually, I think that's what I really like about this book. As awkward as it is to say, Red Skull is so much cooler than Mephisto. I mean, I've always felt that Mephisto was kind of a dorky guy, but that's just because he is, and Red Skull rarely ever feels threatening to the point that he does here. And let's be clear, the art really does help this rendition of Red Skull just feel like he is the big bad. This is the Red Skull that could conquer the world and become a true menace at the helm of Hydra. And I honestly really truly hope that this is the version of the character when this whole event either kicks off or he just appears in the Captain America book. Because damn, I just need Stephanie Phillips to do this back and forth dialogue that's in this between him and any of the Captain Americas running around at this point. So my verdict is, as it seems to be for most of these, buy it. Buy it means that this is absolutely worth having a digital copy of, and also a physical copy of. Yes, it is a one-shot, so there's no real pullability to it, but I mean, right now it is absolutely a series of very pullable one-shots, and I truly cannot wait to see how these are followed up on later, be it in the Heroes books or in this event proper. So, go check out Butcher in Paradise and Grim for more amazingness from Stephanie Phillips, I guess. That's a good way to end it, sure. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know about what you thought of this issue over on Facebook at The Comic Archivist, or Twitter at AJC_doesitall, or Blue Sky at AJCdoesitall, without any underscore. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and do all the stuff that I'm being told is important to keep continuing doing these episodes. And more than anything, though, stay golden, Inklings! Hello and welcome to First Issues Now, the weekly show posted daily-ish about only the newest first issues released by insert comic company here. This week I'll be looking at the comics released for the week of August 13th, 2025. So, for continuity's sake, these events take place after the Yacht-Ja hunted Wolverine, Black Panther, and most recently Spider-Man. No, I haven't read any of those yet, but I have read a metric ton of comics, novels, and fanfics for Predator, so I've got this. Alright, comic time. This is Predator Kills the Marvel Universe #1, written by Benjamin Percy, pencils by Marcelo Ferreira, Inks by Jay Leiston and Daniel Picciotto doing both. Colors by Frank Darmada, with letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. There's a lot of people killing the Marvel Universe lately, hasn't there been? Okay, so it opens with the Guardians of the Galaxy being killed, which I feel goes by way too fast. We see Predator X, which I believe is a government experiment making a Weapon X project out of a Yachtja, although it'd also be a very different part of the Weapons Plus program, since they're way past their 10th incarnation. Just to be a nerd about that. And then we cut to the blue side of the moon, where the Fantastic Four are enjoying a nice drink in their observation bubble. They're just talking when suddenly Mr. Fantastic's arm gets blown off. Human Torch and the Thing are also soundly defeated, while the Invisible Woman is there, left holding her bleeding out husband. The Predators have landed on the moon. Dun dun dun! Look, I'm gonna be real. I actually really hate the notion behind the Kills the Marvel Universe stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mind the Godzilla Destroys series, or even this for the most part, but it always actually annoys me because I'm sorry. The Fantastic Four would wipe the floor with 3 Predators and Kraven the fucking Hunter. Oh right, this whole thing is predicated on Kraven the Hunter becoming a blooded Yachtja warrior during or after the Versus Spider-Man book. But I can see the Guardians being surprised enough to get ganked, but the Fantastic Four were very much in a hardcore facility that they designed, I think. And Mr. Fantastic was even saying there was a higher alert due to the doomsday calculations or something like that. Maybe it was hubris, as it often is, but come on. But that is the problem I have with books that do we're really here just to see how everyone dies. Because it's like, yeah, but no, that's not how it goes. Like, let's be clear, the Punisher killing the Marvel Universe. He couldn't even gank a quarter of the Marvel Universe. Even the street-level characters would hurt him. That being said, while I always find the kill everyone gimmick kind of hokey, I am also nothing if not a hypocrite because it's Predators, my dude. It's a gimmick that sticks around because it's fucking great to see Star-Lord get his chest blasted by a plasma shot, or watch the Human Torch get garroted and then explode. It's over-the-top fun. Now, granted, the art isn't hyper-realistic gore, although yes, there is gratuitous amounts of blood and it is pretty vibrant. Yes, I couldn't get nerdy nitpicky about it, but this is a shut-off and escape. These sorts of comics are a trip to Margaritaville. You may indeed have some fun, carefree times, but other times, you may just become Eddie Burback. Luckily, I didn't read any of the stuff before this, so it's still fresh, and that leads me to my verdict. My verdict for Predator Kills the Marvel Universe is, in fact, pull it. Pull it means, well, it should be on your pull list. It is a fun read, there are some great character moments, even it is just a setup what goes on in the future. I'd also say that if you do like these kind of stories, then it is definitely worth a full buy it, since having a physical copy of it is just a nice thing to have, and the variants of this are also really, really good covers. That Gabriel Delado cover is poster-worthy. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know about what you thought of this issue over on Facebook at The Comic Archivist, or Twitter at AJC_doesitall, or Blue Sky at AJCdoesitall, without any underscore. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and do all the stuff that I'm being told is important to keep continuing doing these episodes. And more than anything, though, stay golden, Inklings! Hello and welcome to First Issues Now, the weekly show posted daily-ish about only the newest first issues released by insert comic company here. This week I'll be looking at the comics released for the week of August 13th, 2025. Wait, the team behind Ice Cream Man is doing a Superman comic? And it's Black Label? Well, paint my nails and call me Siobhan. This sounds like a good time. No, I'm not actually referencing anything there. I'm just extremely tired and overly caffeinated as we dig into Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum #1. Written by W. Maxwell Prince, art by Martin Morazzo, colors by Chris O'Halloran, and letters by good old Neon. Now, before I get into anything, I just need to ask. If Calendar Man has an annual calendar, is that because it's part of his rehabilitation, or is Arkham licensing them to pay back any financials from his crimes? Yes, I am legitimately hung up on a single small gag reference in a single panel about something far more important going on. Typically, when my brain hyperfixates like that, it means the comic is either uninteresting or losing me places. But nope, it's just another added layer of things stuck in my head after reading this book. So, the general premise is that Superman has found new variants of kryptonite, so he invites Batman over to the Fortress of Solitude so he can use his big brain to zap him with the different types. For science. No kinks, just science. Given this is a Black Label book, I'm actually upset that none of the kryptonite used is pink, and we don't get to finally break the sexual tension between Clark and Bruce. Which is actually extra funny because those were the names of a nice bear couple who used to live next door to me a very long time ago. No, sadly, the kryptonite tested in this issue is the new purple kryptonite, which jumbles up Superman's chronal awareness, so he actually gets some weird precognitive abilities. And then, of course, they have to go fight Solomon Grundy in what is a very masterfully executed non-linear fight. Of course, we also have the relationship drama of Lois and Clark, but that's mostly alluded to and not actually dealt with because he could see the future discussions they're going to have. So Superman and Bats go back up to the Fortress of Solitude after, and we get a tease for the next kryptonite, with a giant Superman being hit with cobalt blue kryptonite. So I sat here after reading the book and played a couple rounds of Fortnite. Don't worry, it was Blitz, so it didn't take that long actually. Because I had to figure out how to articulate how this made me feel. See, it is a great read. I absolutely loved reading it. Art-wise, though, it's not my favorite, but it actually gives a lot of All-Star Superman, which works for a lot of people, and I don't hate this art, it's okay to me. The story is probably the weirdest damn amalgam of both Silver Age and Modern Age storytelling, though. The premise of this entire book being about what kryptonite does to Superman, with very weird outcomes depending on the color, to be wrapped up by the end of the issue, is Silver Age to high hell. But the dynamic layouts, the scripting involving a realistic relationship, and all that's involved is just really good and really modern. Although I will say, I am a little hesitant about calling this a Superman book, because it is definitely a world's finest. Batman is massively in this, but other than that, it's still really good. So the obvious answer is, collect it. Collect it means that it should be on your pull list digitally, and you should be pulling it physically, and you should be getting all of the variant covers because they are all really, really damn good. My personal favorite is the Tula Latoy one, and if you've never even heard of the Ice Cream Man comic series, definitely check that out too. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know about what you thought of this issue over on Facebook at The Comic Archivist, or Twitter at AJC_doesitall, or Blue Sky at AJCdoesitall, without any underscore. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and do all the stuff that I'm being told is important to keep continuing doing these episodes. And more than anything, though, stay golden, Inklings! Hello, and welcome to First Issues Now, the weekly show posted daily-ish about only the newest first issues released by insert comic company here. This week, I'll be looking at the comics released for the week of August 13th, 2025. Look, even if I wasn't doing First Issues Now again, I would absolutely be reading this book because it's Zach Thompson. He's awesome. That being said, I do have to be semi-professional about this, so let's dig into Cemetery Kids Run Rabid #1. Written by Zach Thompson, art by Danielle Irizarry, colors by Brittany Peer, and letters by And World Design. Okay, I'm just gonna read the solicit real quick. 1 year ago, 4 friends barely escaped the unrelenting terror of the video game called Nightmare Cemetery. After spending hours locked in the innovative Dreamwave, the first gaming console played entirely while you sleep, in order to save one of their own from the game's all-too-real consequences, they survived. Barely. But after their harrowing rescue, they've decided they've had enough of Nightmare Cemetery and its enigmatic final boss, the King of Sleep. That is, until the newest DLC, The Blighted Sprawl, suddenly appears online with the promise to reveal the truth about what actually lurks in the heart of Night Cemetery's digital darkness, and why its effects are now bleeding out into the real world in an array of bizarre and disturbing new ways. That is actually a pretty long solicit read, I know, but I honestly think that it needs to be. I try to actually skip reading the solicits, so I let the comic speak for itself. But this actually really helps when I realize I wrote an entire page discussing the contents instead of doing a general review. So yes, that is the premise of the book, and that is where we pick up. And I actually think going into this book, knowing all of that, helps kickstart caring about everything that's going on. You are kind of thrown in media res into this character-driven narrative, with some absolutely fantastic Cronenberg inspirations. I can 70% see Zach Thompson totally seeing Existence, the Cronenberg movie, and then making this comic based in that world. The game system's biotech, kind of head-crabby. There's some drug influence. There's a huge grime all over it. Although I would feel bad if that was just accidental with the art direction and not incidental, but I have a feeling it's incidental. Now, on a more personal level, as a gamer, seeing this group of friends have a, well, for lack of a better term, near-death experience and then go back into the game because there's an update is absolutely something high schoolers who game would totally do. And it's actually shocking how well developed all of these characters are just in this first issue. It is truly a must-read. And, well, that's my verdict. Collect it. Collect it means that it's not just worth being put onto your digital pull list, but absolutely should be had physically with all the covers. There's not that many, so it won't break the bank, and they are all spectacular. I cannot wait to see where this story goes. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know about what you thought of this issue over on Facebook at The Comic Archivist, or Twitter at AJC_doesitall, or Blue Sky at AJCdoesitall, without any underscore. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and do all the stuff that I'm being told is important to keep continuing doing these episodes. And more than anything, though, stay golden, Inklings! Hello, and welcome to First Issues Now, the weekly show posted daily-ish about only the newest first issues released by insert comic company here. This week, I'll be looking at the comics released for the week of August 13th, 2025. So if you haven't heard any of my praising of the Space Ghost series under Dave Pepose, then boy howdy are you about to get some today. This is technically the start of Season 2, so to be clear, while this is a first issue, it's not really the first issue of Space Ghost number 1, written by David Pepose, art by Jonathan Lau, colors by Andrew Dahlhaus, and letters by Taylor Esposito. The premise of this book is that it is a direct-ish follow-up to the events of the Space Ghost Annual that I covered 2 weeks ago? I would probably say a month. I don't know, time is a flat circle for me at this point. The general premise is that Space Ghost and Blip are out fighting the toy maker while Jan and Jace are talking to their newly arrived grandfather, who's now back into their life and wants to be the legal guardian of the twins. So I could get into how the Space Ghost fight with toy maker is all sorts of awesome, reflecting who Space Ghost as a character is, his ideals as a hero, and all the gray that he represents while he saves these hostages. But honestly, that is just the window dressing and the framework for the real meat of this story. The familial and emotional aspects which make up this book, the fact that there's a whole arc of Jan expressing why Dax, or Space Ghost's real name, is their family more than this new random guy who just comes in out of nowhere would be, built on what we've seen over the past 13 issues of this series, is why this is great. To opine for a moment, the reason that I praise Dave on Space Ghost is because it is the holotype for superhero comics. There are spectacular fights, hard action, epic moments of sheer thrill, but there is also the actual storytelling side of it. Yes, you can tell a story in nothing but action, there's a couple great comics that do so, but in long-term storytelling, it isn't the cool action that sticks around, it's the human factor. It's Dex showing how he cares for the kids so that when a new storyline starts, and that gets called into question, Jan can be there for 5 solid pages to tell what is arguably their legal guardian why he can't just show up and have the same gravitas as the person who's been there, and through his actions shown that he is family. Yes, I'd argue that that's also why many mainstream comics, if there is even such a thing anymore, fail to hold an audience after the first issue. And why, having now gotten to 14 issues into this story, Pepose still has me invested. So anyways, as for the art, it's still the toppest of the top tiers. The action, again, is still hard-hitting. The inventiveness of the toymaker's death traps and robot is brilliant design and layout. Honestly, there's also a really sweet panel of the toymaker shuffling Space Ghost in as playing cards that I just kind of think is super freaking cool. And yet it also shows the talent of these artists when you can have the same art style feel just as weighty and hard-hitting in the talking scenes as it does in the fighting scenes. God, I love this book. And you should too. So my verdict has been, will be, and currently is, collect it. Collected means that it should be on your pull list digitally, as well as on your pull list physically. You should have all the issues up to this point, and you should get all the variant covers, or at least no dupes, although I am trying to get all the virgin covers personally. And honestly, Pepose has been knocking it out of the park everywhere, so check out his other stuff, even if I can't remember which company they're for sometimes. And now all I just need is Dynamite to message me about getting my Secret Squirrel relaunch off the ground. Contact me in my business email, thecomicarchivist@gmail.com. Is this a joke? Who knows? But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know about what you thought of this issue over on Facebook at The Comic Archivist, or Twitter at AJC_doesitall, or Blue Sky at AJCdoesitall, without any underscore. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and do all the stuff that I'm being told is important to keep continuing doing these episodes. And more than anything, though, stay golden, Inklings! Hello, and welcome to First Issues Now, the weekly show posted daily-ish about only the newest first issues released by insert comic company here. This week, I'll be looking at the comics released for the week of August 13th, 2025. Even before reading this, I've seen Twitter as a bit of buzz about one of the panels, so it's always nice to really see if it's as bad or as controversial as everyone online's making it out to be. This is Valiant Beyond Bloodshot number 1, written by Mauro Mantella, art by Fernando Hines Furukawa, colors by Brishi Studio and Rocio Zucchi, with letters by Ezekiel Averni. So, the general premise of this book is, there's a new drug on the street called Bloodshot, which uses the titular Bloodshot's super cool blood that makes him do whatever the artist wants at the time to have people effectively become vampires. Neat. Bloodshot is action-heavy in dealing with the vampire druggies, trying to figure out where the drugs are. Granted, by the end it seems that Bloodshot got betrayed by the government or company or whatever he's working for and becomes a vampire himself. Oh noes! Okay, so I'm going to talk about the controversy first, because there's nothing else really to this book. So there's a panel in this that talks about the vampire epidemic being on the rise because parents are forcing their kids to go through an irreversible change because they want to be hip. It is, in a vacuum, somewhat ambiguous, especially since it can also be put towards red hats and conservatives trying to take their kids off vaccines and put them on famed dewormer ivermectin as if it's a miracle drug, which gives them irreversible damage, like polio or death. However, Mauro Mantella has also been fairly conservative in what he posts, such as the failure of a meme trying to say that feminism is actually against nuclear family. Anyways, he's got some right-wing leanings, which paint that to definitely be a transphobic take. Although Valiant Alien Books, or whatever the new name is under the Alien Books company, also said that it was a translation error, which I don't actually believe. It's just bad optics. For a little bit of deep dive into my past, I actually do make similar jokes, and a lot of us do, about people like standing and praising the Terrigen Mist Cloud because they're posers who want to do anything to change their lives except change their lives. The biggest difference is that his reads a lot more anti-trans because, well, mine was a comment during the death of X a decade ago, compared to the climate now, and I also don't retweet TradCon bullshit. However, something not being talked about because it's not really easy to quantify as a single panel, I also think that the usage of incel early into the comic for the disguise that Bloodshot has is also telling, since he then goes on to kill the people who made fun of him looking like an incel. Just saying, there's some minor dog whistling here. But beyond any of that, which is interesting to talk about, it's mostly flimsy as hell, because this book... Okay, first, one positive about the book is that it is a great-looking book. The art team makes this a great book to see visually, but the writing really lets it down. This is a very generic book. It's watching a dude do ECW spots for CZW and then wondering why no one cares. All I'm saying is, as a dude who's been reading Valiant since the relaunch and even before then, when they were starting off, I have praised a lot of it because it wasn't just being generic. Even the humor of this book is really stock or framed if it's meant to be for edgy teens who's never seen anything else. Dude, Bloodshot pisses on a vampire and he melts it because he drank holy water earlier. Whoa! Now, that could work if it wasn't surrounded by what feels like something that I'd have written after my first breakup in 2007. It is a nothing book. So my verdict is ignore it. Look, if you enjoy the idea of a generic story with good art, then maybe you might want to check it out, but honestly, I think it's forgettable in hell, and without the perceived shot at the trans community, there wouldn't be any reason to even tweet about it or even think about this book. It's not worth the money to get. There's just nothing on this that you aren't getting by seeing the Instagrams of the artists. I'm sorry, it's just, your book's not that good, bro. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know about what you thought of this issue over on Facebook at The Comic Archivist, or Twitter at AJC_doesitall, or Blue Sky at AJCdoesitall, without any underscore. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and do all the stuff that I'm being told is important to keep continuing doing these episodes. And more than anything, though, stay golden, Inklings. Hi, I'm AJ Carey. This may be my channel, but this is not my show. This is Sammy's Picks. Basically, once a week, my co-host on Killing 15 Minutes, Mything 15 Minutes, and Blanking 15 Minutes, oh, and she's also my sister, picks a new release from our first issues pool that she wants to talk about as a barely literate casual comic reader. So, time for the Casual Comicist. This shall be fun.
Hey guys, gals, and non-binary pals, welcome to Sammy's Picks. This is where I, Sam Rossi, the Casual Comicist, get to pick first issues to review for the week of August 13th, 2025. Today's pick is a one-shot from IDW, Monster High Party Monster. This story was originally printed in I Only Have Eye for You. Has to be a Cyclops show. First, we start off with the wonderful creators of this book. A writer, Heather Neffler, artist, Kaylee Riley, and letterer, because we believe letterers are artists, and letterer, because we believe letterers are artists, Joanna Natalie. This book is about Abby Bominal and Heath Burns. That's what I got from the title page, guys. The next set of pages were my favorite. It gives a synopsis of each character, which I have to tell you, for a one-shot is a great idea. I wish more people would do that. The story starts with Abby dismissing Heath, who wanted her to ask him to the Frady Hawkins dance. Heath decides to become more cute and cuddly, so him and his friends take over Guella Ziop's lab to make it happen. This turned Heath into a Sweetums kind of monster. Sweetums from the Muppets, guys. Tall, big guy covered in hair. But he's the love monster. A furry love monster. All he wants to do is love you and squeeze you and call you George. Abby stands up and commands the monster Heath to sit, and she realizes who the monster is. Guella turns Heath back into Heath, and Heather Neffler ends the book with Abby telling Heath to pick her up for the dance. The artwork is bold and really good. Kaylee Riley does a great job with matching up with the other comics with the character design. The lettering was clear and readable. Great job. So for a one-shot, it's worth the read, obviously. I give it 4 stars. It's an easy read for kids. I'd enjoyed it, but I'm not the target audience. I could picture my 11-year-old niece reading this and enjoying it and getting more out of it than I did. So, what do you think? I'm the Casual Comicist. Peace out, my friends.
Hi, I'm AJ Carey. This may be my channel, but this is not my show. This is Sammy's Picks. Basically, once a week, my co-host on Killing 15 Minutes, Mything 15 Minutes, and Blanking 15 Minutes, oh, and she's also my sister, picks a new release from our first issues pool that she wants to talk about as a barely literate casual comic reader. So, time for the Casual Comicist. This shall be fun.
Hi guys, gals, and non-binary pals to Sammy's Picks, where I, Sam Rossi, the Casual Comicist, will review comics that are #1 issues. This week, August 13th, 2025, I picked Marvel's Uncle Scrooge, Earth's Mightiest Duck, issue #1. Before getting into it, let's acknowledge the wonderful artists. Written by Jason Aaron, which I have to tell you, I've heard good things about him. Art by, and this is a new one for me because they break it down by pages. I will not. Mahmoud Assar, Ciro Cangialosi, Giuseppe Comunicali, Danielle Ortolini. Colors by Ariana Cassini, because we believe editing is an art.
Lettering is an art.
You're right. Lettering is an art. VC's Joe Caramagna. On New Comic Day, I went looking to see what I had to pick from. Nothing caught my eye around noon. But when 3 p.m. rolled around, I saw it. DuckTales was one of my favorite Disney cartoons growing up, and I'm pretty sure I've seen every episode of the original. The cover, I love it. I love the hash marks to not overwhelm the fact that Donald, well, it looks like Donald, is stuck in gold. Now, this made me think of Star Wars, and now I'm even more excited. We start with the prologue, and Uncle Scrooge wakes up to find his vault empty, except for a package and a note from himself to protect it at all costs. He's in a nightmare, a living nightmare. Would that be a lifemare? Robots show up asking for the coins, and where are the coins? Uncle Scrooge kicks ass to find out that Duckburg is gone, like a nightmare for real. So, okay, wow. It seems aliens called connoisseurs.
Connoisseurs.
That's what I just said. A race that collects antiquities are raiding all the things that the Brits would have taken back in the day. Coin-operator robots are the ones carrying out these raids, and the people tried to fight back, but no one fought harder than Scrooge McDuck. Until one day, he was gone, and so was his treasure. Okay, I'm hooked, and I haven't even finished the book yet. With that, I'm going to give my love for the artwork in the book. None of the art is overpowering. It doesn't seem to take away from anything. And you can't tell that it's 4 different artisans. Artisans? Artists? The story is chef's kiss. Perfect. I was on the edge of my seat wanting to read more, which I obviously did. I read it clearly. Lettering is on point. I finished it on my phone and didn't have to zoom in. So everything about this book made me happy. So I'm debating about changing up how I rate these books. Instead of buy, pull, or just read. Because let's be honest, I'm going to go with read 9 times out of 10. What I'm going to do is that it is a double thumbs up. 5 or 500% worth my time. 100% worth your time. And yes, I did finish the book. I had to reread it twice because it was so good. So go get it now. And with that, I'm Sam Rossi. Have a great day, y'all.
With all of that, though, maybe I'm wrong, or I missed a comic worth talking about. Let me know on the YouTube video version of this, or on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, or on social media at The Comic Archivist on Facebook, AJC_does-it-all on Twitter, and even on Blue Sky at AJC Does It All without any underscore. I'm always open to being told how wrong I am about the current mainstream and indie books alike. Don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe, and do all the other stuff that I'm being told that I need to do to keep this show going. More than anything, though, remember, stay golden, Inklings.